is Falana. My style of music. So I try not to be cliche and say that I don't really fit in a particular box. But to be honest, my experience, musically speaking, is so vast. So, for example, I love rhythm, I love percussion. I grew up listening to a lot of soul music, but I also grew up listening to a lot of KSA, King Sunny Ade. My mom loved listening to Fela. So you have like traditional Nigerian influences in your music. And then I also studied music in Cuba for a year. So just having all these different types of influences. I love jazz. I sing in a kind of jazzy way. So the only way I've really been able to classify it for the sake of classification is soul fusion. That's the easiest way for me to put it. And I don't want to say, like I said, I don't want to be cliche, but I think anyone who listens to my music connects with it in a different way, which is also very rewarding as an artist, because it means that your music can translate to different people in different capacities. So how did I feel writing my first song ever? So anyone who is a musician or an artist can, I guess, relate to this, that creativity is something that comes naturally. Creativity and writing is something that came naturally to me. May have started in the form of poetry, but because I'm a singer and I love music, that poetry evolved into music. So the first song I ever wrote, I'm sure it's quite bad. In fact, if I try to remember it, it was probably some kind of like silly teenage love song or something like that. But it was my primary means of expression. Music and writing is something that naturally I use as a way to express myself, to kind of reflect and digest what I'm feeling, what I've seen, stories that people have told me. So for some people it may be visual arts, for some people it may be literature. They write, or everyone has their way of expressing. My own is through music. People ask kind of what motivates me. What motivated me to work on my project, on my EP. It's called Things Fall Together, which I recorded in Cuba. And I tell people that I am more scared of regret than I am of failure. So I rather do something and it completely fail than not do something and regret that I didn't do it. So was I fearful when I released my first project? Not particularly, but perhaps, just trying to grow into myself as an artist and come out to the world as who I am, Falana, the musician, the artist, the multi-instrumentalist. But did I ever feel fear in a way that would deter me or stop me from, living out my passion and my dream? No, because it's who I am. Music is who I am. It's what I do. So, yeah, I have no fear of being myself. The first song I performed, Botie, which is, people always, when they see me, they start singing, Falana, Botie, Falana. So I'm like, okay, well, obviously I understand. People know what it means. They get the saying, mind your business, listen to your own. So I thought maybe I could put it into a song. But what happened originally is I was going through, I suppose, a moment where people were telling me to doubt who I am and who I am as an artist, to doubt my chosen path to become a musician. So that song came out of a very honest place. It came out of a very real place. And it's, like I said, whenever I perform the song, I let people know it's my warrior song. Whenever I feel like I feel small or I feel like I'm doubting myself, I'll sing that song to myself, because it's usually other people who will make me doubt myself. So when I remind myself of that song, it just kind of helps me to keep going forward. So yeah. So the book that I last read is by Helen Oyeyemi. It's called The Opposite House. And the reason that I'm most attracted to this novel is, one, because it tells the lives of two, it's kind of like the story of identity of two girls. One who's a Cuban young girl growing up in London, and the other one who is living in a somewhere halfway house between Lagos, Nigeria, and London. So it kind of mixes together Yoruba culture in the context of Cuban culture. So they talk about a lot of the similarities, specifically with the trend, the importation or the immigration of Yoruba religion to Cuba. I relate to the book a lot because I used to live in Havana. So for me, it's a very interesting way to kind of or see a connection between these two places that have been very significant in the own development of my own identity. And then she's also just an amazing writer. So there's one thing to have a story that you relate to, and it's another thing to read a book that is just so marvelously written. The way she just effortlessly describes things that seem very simple and mundane, but she gives them such depth. So it was actually a friend who recommended that I read the book, and I'm very happy that I did. Born on a Tuesday is the next book that I want to read after. I think reading is important. All people should read. Anyone who doesn't read is missing out on an adventure of just imagination. Okay, so I have a professor who once told me that if you lack vocabulary, you limit your capacity to imagine. So for example, if you say the word glass, if you don't have the word glass in your vocabulary, you don't have the capacity to imagine a glass. So reading gives you vocabulary and improves your ability to imagine. And without imagination, lack of imagination limits creativity. Anyone who is creative should read because it just fleshes out their capacity to just think beyond what their mind would normally, be able to come up with. I think reading is a gift. I think anyone who births literature is also a gift to the world, and I'm happy that people continue to celebrate, like here at the Ake Festival, celebrate literature, celebrate art in all their capacity, and now celebrate music. It's an amazing initiative, and I feel so privileged to be here this year. So I think the Ake Festival is definitely, this is my first time here, but just, first of all, the energy is very amazing. I feel like it's very honest. I think it's very powerful. I think any space that celebrates and unites people to celebrate art, literature, music, culture in such an authentic way. We are in Abeokuta. Like, this is basically, I feel like the Ake Festival is just an amazing space for uniting creatives and supporting literature, which is such an important part of our culture here in Nigeria. So I feel very humbled to be here. And I can't wait to come back in the future, because this is my first time, but it definitely will not be my last. And just to be in the presence of so many amazing writers all in one space, that's another thing that's very amazing as well. So very happy to be here.